forgot to hit my microphone. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Solomon, second by Jones and Richie Nordstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving along. Now's the time for general public comment. General public comment. Actually, we're going to hold off on that. Chief Culberson wants to take a point of personal privilege. Oh.
There we go. I think I'm in now. Yay, we're learning, right? Thanks for that. Appreciate the opportunity to have just a quick personal privilege. Historic day for the city of Rapid City and the fire department. Today marks 20 years of providing ambulance service to this community. We took over ambulance service on March 1st, 2003 after the private provider decided. We took over ambulance service on March 1st, 2003 after the private provider decided to leave town, and we've been doing it happily since, and doing it, I would say, very well. So thank you for that. We're having a small ceremony at 2 up at Station 6, since Station 1 is officially under construction, demolition today. So we'll have a press conference and just a small get-together this afternoon at 2 o'clock at Station 6, which is located up on Promise Road. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. All right, now we will move to general public comment. This is not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. All right, so we do have some speaker request forms, but they are all in relation to item 15. So how do we handle that? Do we wait until?
Do public comment down towards the bottom.
Okay, we'll do it that one there. Okay. Yep, perfect. Just want to make sure I do it correctly. All right. Not seeing any general public comment for items 1 through 12. Let's just start with items 1 through 12. Here, 1, 2, human resources. Item 3. Do we have anybody here? Oh, Director, do we have anybody here? Oh, Director Strout.
Good afternoon. We're here to request authorize the mayor and the finance director to sign a contract with Gallagher Consulting for $83,750 to perform a wage study for our AFSCME employees. This was in the contract that was approved by this council in the fall of 2022. We did an RFP and we had 2 consultants come back, and we selected Gallagher for a number of reasons. The price was pretty competitive. They were within a couple $1,000s of each other. But we know the work that they've done, just completing a wage study. We were happy with their product, and we're excited to get going again because we know this is a 6-month project, and at the end of this, we have to negotiate 2024 wages based on the results. So that is our request today. Thank you.
Okay, moving along to police department items.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you. I guess I'd entertain, we were asking for the continuation of VOCA funds. We will be adding a new position that we're requesting. So one position is for our at-risk youth. One position is for our at-risk youth coordinator. We've had this position for 2 years. Basically what they're doing currently is it's coordinating a lot of resources for our at-risk, our runaways, and those may have ties to gang activity. So we're requesting to continue that funding. That funding currently expires here in June. We'd like to continue it through for an additional year. We will tweak that position slightly and have more of a focus on just the runaway aspect and some gang activity aspect. And then we're also asking to add one position, and then we're also asking to add one position, which is our victim services specialist. Currently, the Pennington County Sheriff's Office employs 2 victim specialists. Their caseload is roughly 400 a year. It's time for us to come to that table and also provide those services. And that specialist will mainly be in charge of working with victims of violent crimes. And we anticipate a pretty heavy caseload, and they would be directly attached to our criminal investigations division. So that would be for the Vulcan funding. We also have a proposal, a retention and recruitment proposal. It's pretty lengthy. This is on the employees, employee surveys, talking with other law enforcement executives throughout the nation, talking with those that specialize in wellness and employee wellness. And based on all this information, we're proposing a pretty extensive package. They wanted to be here to voice his support on this. However, he's returning from town from a conference, but we do have a complete presentation that we'd like to provide council on Monday that will really go into the details, the why, the needs, a look at police retention nationwide, the needs, a look at police retention nationwide, and some of the struggles. So we're excited and eager to present that to council on Monday.
And Chief Hedrick did send an email to council members with a pretty thorough explanation, so thank you for explaining that to the people that are here as well. Do we have any comments? I just learned this system 7 minutes ago. Mr. Jones?
Thank you very much. I hope the council members will take the time out. It talks to the people who it will be impacting and affecting. People here, people who may be coming here, potential candidates. And it's not just about an hourly rate anymore. And it's not just about good health insurance anymore. It's about a whole lot of different things. It's about personal wellness. It's about time off. It's about being able to improve and grow and have your employer support all of those things. And it was a great read, and I was very excited to see that something like this is finally put together, because we've been wanting to do more for our police department, wanting to make it a full package deal. When I was young and others in this room were starting off in our careers, a full package deal. When I was young and others in this room were starting off in our careers, it was about a paycheck and maybe a little health insurance. Things have changed greatly over the years, and we need to do more things to take good care of the people, especially those in our very high-stress, dangerous jobs. So I'm very much in favor of dangerous jobs. So I'm very much in favor of this package. I'm excited to see it. I hope everyone in council will read it, and I look forward to the full presentation Monday night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Solomon, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All right. Thank you for that. One clarification. I appreciated the time spent with me on sharing the background behind this. For the record, we want to make sure we get out there. This is a trial period. Is that right? For 1 year? Is that correct? 1 or 2?
Working, we have, we plan on doing research and a study to see what's working and if our recruitment and retention is improving. So it is set to, this package is set to expire in December of 2024 and run on a trial period.
And I think that's important to find.
2024 and run on a trial period.
And I think that's important to find out if it helps, because right now we're down approximately 30 police officers, right?
We just last week we brought in 10 more, so
All
we're
right.
on the right path. So we're looking at 24 right now.
All right, 24 down. It takes.
So we're looking at 24 right now.
All right, 24 down. It takes approximately 9 months to get new ones trained and ready to roll if they're starting from scratch.
If they're doing a good job and on pace and ready to be released, that 9 to 12 months is
9 to
the
12
timeframe.
months. So when we talk about public safety in our community, there's a lot of efforts that we can take, but it's actually stepping in to protect and serve. And so that's what this is all about, is taking care of those who take care of us. And so I'm happy to support this, especially given that it's a trial period and we'll find out if it works and if it produces fruit. And if it does, that tells us something, and it tells us this is worth the investment. Our people are our best investment, that we have those who work on the front lines to deserve our support. So I'm happy to get behind this and see how it goes. A lot of cool things in there. I think the rest of the city is probably paying attention. We're going to see if we can attract and keep the best law enforcement in the country. Because I love the folks that we have. We want to attract and keep the best law enforcement in the country. Because I love the folks that we have. We want to continue to bring that kind of talent on board and keep them here for the long haul so they can build a happy and healthy career in the Rapid City Police Department. So well done to the team. Look forward to seeing the fruit of this as we move forward. Look forward to seeing the fruit of this as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nordstrom?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Get the green light?
I get punched out every once in a while. Now I'm punched in. Okay. Assistant Chief, I got a chance to read this over very thoroughly, and I thank you for the communications, the interaction that we had, and answering a lot of the questions I had about this. It looks like I would agree with my council colleagues on everything that they've wholeheartedly support this, but just emphasize for us, please, on the quarterly assessments as well. You're going to review it in-house approximately every quarter.
Correct. It'll actually be more than every quarter. We keep a pretty detailed record of people we're bringing in, people leaving, detailed record of people we're bringing in, people leaving through exit interviews, why individuals are leaving. So this we'll provide quarterly updates, but the review and research process will be continuous and ongoing.
Thank you, and I'm looking for one more item in here that has to do with the it has to do with the video camera system, and I'm saying the wrong title on it, but would like to give a heads up to my colleagues, discuss that CIP a little more in depth, and we'll have probably have another presentation ready then. I want to say it's on the 17th, or anyway, third Friday is when we're going to be doing that for the CIP. So you'll see that a little bit more detail. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, moving along to the Finance Department, items 6, 7, and 8. I will defer to our interim director, Tracy Davis.
All right, item 6 is some additional volunteers that we need recognized for work comp purposes. Item 7, the IT department has gathered some additional items that will be recycled, so we need to declare those surplus. And then item 8 is the December 22 sales tax report. We ended the year 6.46% higher. 6.46% higher.
Any questions? Mr. Solomon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the update. You know, I think it's important to note on the sales tax, that's our December number, so that lets us know what 2022 or 6%.
Correct.
Do you know the inflationary number for 2022?
I believe it was 6.
Yeah. So in essence, and I noticed the December number was slightly down from the year before. And these are things I think for us to pay attention to, and it can be really positive that it's up 6%. At the same time, inflation out, but month to month from December 21 to December 22, slightly down. I think that's a word of caution for us on the council. As we head into the new year, we're optimistic about everything that's going on, but at the same time, we need to be prudent because there's a lot of uncertainty with inflation and the impact on people's wallets and their spending, which, you know, we derive much of our income from sales tax revenue. So as we plan for the future, and we have a lot of things we need to invest in, as we can see, we have to invest in our talent. That's a huge part of what we do, but we are going to have to be prudent on our projects and to make sure that we recognize this is actually kind of flat in a lot of ways. And hopefully, though, things will continue to move forward strong. compared to 2 years ago, it's great, but of course, the cost of living is way out of whack from 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, it's great, but of course, the cost of living is way out of whack from 2 years ago. So just want to put that word of caution out. While I'm optimistic and appreciate what we've done, we still have a lot of work to do and keep our head on a swivel as we move forward. Thank you.
I have a question regarding item. I have a question regarding item 7. These various things. I don't know if this goes to you or our IT director about being recycled. We were talking about data about 2 months ago. How do these?
So these are mostly, although not completely, desktop and laptop computers that we're replacing through the replacement cycle that we have in place now. There's also some UPSs. There's a local company in town that does e-waste recycling. So they take the individual components and other uses that the city might have, but we pull out all the hard drives, all the memory and everything. And they take the motherboards and grind them down and separate out the valuable metals. And then what they do produce to the landfill is much reduced because everything that is able to be ground down is better thing than what we've been doing, which is storing a pallet of computers or several pallets for a year to wait till the surplus and then getting $50 to $300 for a pallet of computers. So this way we get them out of our control faster, get that liability off the book faster a piece. So.
All right. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that data, and then also a little plug for our landfill that we're not just throwing it into the landfill. That's good. Is it EchoWorks?
It is not, no.
What is the name of that company?
I don't. It has Wizard in the title, and that's all I can remember. It's Green Wizard or something like it. They've been in business.
Okay. All right. Moving on to community development for item 9, Director Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so we are requesting authorization for the mayor and finance officer to sign an agreement that would allow us to enter into a contract with KL. Today, he's been working hard on this one, and with your permission, he will provide us with some additional information.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Harrington, welcome.
Thank you. This is a contract with the Metropolitan Planning Organization to allow Pennington County to complete a master transportation plan. There's no city funding involved in this. This is strictly a Pennington County 0.05%, which comes out to $45,125. The other 81.95% is made up of federal planning funds that come through the Metropolitan Planning Organization. So this is simply a pass-through. No city funds are being expended. However, since the city is the fiscal agent for the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the city is the one that enters into a contract with.
Mr. Nordstrom?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Harrington, just to kind of explain what transportation plan means in relationship to the Rapid City Transit system that we have. Two different things, but the public understands the difference between the two.
Certainly, this is a transportation plan for Pennington County, which will take a look at all the county roads and highways throughout Pennington County. A portion of it fits within our metropolitan planning area, so that is why they'll be able to use some metropolitan planning funds to complete this project. Again, a portion of this money comes out of our metropolitan planning funds to complete this project. Again, a portion of this money comes out of our federal planning funds, and there's a formula based on vehicular miles traveled within the MPO area versus the entire county, so it's a lot of math that goes on in that. So again, we're only providing a portion of the funding for this contract, but again, it's looking at a portion of the funding for this contract, but again, it's looking at the Pennington County roadways that are not within the city, not within Box Elder, not on state highways, but the Pennington County roadways.
Thank you. And then what I want to emphasize to the people that have been asking me the question about that is that the transportation system that we have for our buses, and so that this does not interact or interchange or anything else to do with what the Community Development Planning Department is proposing. So I want to make sure that the public understands the difference between the two. Thank you.
Mr. Harrington, can you walk us through the timeline of this?
So this is up for contract signature. We've already selected a consultant. We put out a request for proposals. We received multiple proposals, selected a consultant. So if this gets approved here and authorize the mayor and interim finance director to sign this, it'll be signed after city council Monday night, in which case it'll be signed by the consultant. We issue a notice to proceed, and then we anticipate signed after city council Monday night, in which case it'll be signed by the consultant. We issue a notice to proceed, and then we anticipate this project to take about a year for them to do their data research, hold public meetings, create a report, and come out with some recommendations. So about a year and 3 months from now, probably.
Thank you very much. Any more questions?
Probably.
Thank you very much. Any more questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Parks and Recreations for items 10 and 11. Director Beegler, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Item number 10 is in Recreation Department. As you recall, back in February 6th meeting, I believe it was, you approved the purchase authority for this greenhouse. However, since that time, we discovered that the plans did not account for the current snow load requirements for this area. So we had them really amounted to was the spacing on the columns and the trusses moving from 10 feet on center to 7 feet to allow for a greater snow load. So we are putting forward a request for a new purchase authority for this same structure that we had talked about before at a slightly increased cost at $310,786. Item number 11 is to enter into an agreement with J&M Displays Fireworks Company for a 3-year contract for our 4th of July fireworks celebration. J&M Displays is a company that we've been using for a number of years. It used to be called Pyrotechnic Displays. They went through a name change last year, but it's the same people that we deal with that we've been dealing with for at least as long as I've been here, and we've been very happy with their product, and I think the community's been very happy with the display that they've been seeing on the 4th of July. You recall a number of years ago there was a drought conditions in the hills, and especially in this area here, and on the recommendation of the fire department, we canceled those 4th of July fireworks and instead held them on New Year's Eve, which I kind of liked, but it was just a different thing. So they are very flexible. We've been working very, very well with them, and one of the nice things that they've included in this proposal is a 15% loyalty deduction due to the fact that we've been working with them for so many years. So it's a great company, and we're nothing but happy with them.
That's fantastic. Mr. Solomon?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
That's fantastic. Mr. Solomon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Director Beegler. Madam Chair, may I quickly ask a question of our fire chief?
Sure.
Chief, so you talked about the drought. I just want to make sure we have good precautions in place to prevent fires within city limits. We have good precautions in place to prevent fires within city limits with the fireworks. You're comfortable with this?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, where the fireworks are shot off is in right down here, Executive Golf Course. So it's all watered. It's perfect to do it, and we do watch it during that time to make sure we're not in extreme conditions where that would be a problem. But there's always the opportunity that we can put the kibosh to it. But I'm very comfortable with where we're shooting those off and the precautions we have and the folks that are around. And we've got units that are down there. Your fire departments around, they bring some units down just to make sure that we can catch up with anything. So yeah, feel very comfortable about it.
Yeah, I love it. Since I was a kid, it just brought the whole community together. So it's just another awesome event. Thank you for your work on this. Good job on the 15% loyalty discount. Discount.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, moving to item 12, we'll go to our city attorney, Director Landine.
You know, actually, I know this is under our office, but I would defer. I know this is under our office, but I would defer to either finance or the fire department. They're really do more with this program.
Want to arm wrestle for it? All right. Interim Director Tracy Davis, oh, you're on.
This is a life safety loan application between the city and TP Properties. They have submitted all of the required documentation to get the fire sprinkler system set up in their facility. There are multiple people that meet on approving this application. That includes the fire, myself, and the attorney's office. We've reviewed everything, and everything is in order.
Any questions?
Jones?
It doesn't say it on here. Oh, okay. Are you seat 7? All right, just come sit right next to me. Got a wingman. You're on.
Thank you very much. So I had a couple questions about this. My questions were, where does the funding come for this program? What has been the payback rate as far as, have there been, I sent those questions to Mr. Landine, and so I'm hoping to get an answer today if we can.
Sure. The program started in 2009. I believe we've had 14 loans. This will be 15. About half of them were paid off. We did have to draw on one line of credit.
And the funding for these, where does it come from?
Sure, it has its own separate fund. It originally started with $500,000 in it.
But is it funded through the city?
Yes.
City tax dollars go into that?
Yep, and then they repay the loan back to the city.
And the
Nope.
benefit to the city then for using tax dollars is to help provide safer buildings. Benefit to the city then for using tax dollars is to help provide safer buildings, safer places, et cetera, and helping businesses do that where they might not be able to due to the cost without the program.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right, looks like we're through the consent calendar. All right, looks like we're through the consent calendar. I'd welcome a motion.
Move to approve consent items 1 through 12. Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Mr. Nordstrom, 1 through 12, and a second by Mr. Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now, we are at the non-consent items, 13 through 15. We're going to open public comment for items 13 through 15. I believe we've got 6 public speaker request forms. I'll call your name, please come to request forms. I'll call your name, please come to the podium and introduce yourself. The first one is Carol Merwin. Welcome, Ms. Merwin. Glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
Here.
I'm glad to be here, and I am so grateful to be here in Rapid City where I know people here that aren't here. And English teacher. Went to the meeting last night at Canyon Lake Elementary. I was there for about 2.5 hours. I don't have any grandchildren. I think public education is so important to democracy and to just human development. There were parents there last night who cried. Those parents are about closing a school. The research shows that students do better if there are fewer students in the building, not just in the classroom, in the building. So, having more and more students in one building is not a good idea. And I think we need to come together as a community to support public education in any way we can. Education in any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Merwin. The next person is Jan Mangelson. Please come up to the podium and introduce yourself. Welcome, thank you for being here. Welcome, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm Jan Mangelson. I am a grandparent of 5 children in the education system in Rapid City, and I have 2 daughters that are teachers. I am here today to encourage you to pass the resolution opposing the social studies standards. This will send a strong message to our teachers, giving them the support they need. It is very obvious that the people in the trenches, the experts, oppose these standards. This resolution will say that our community supports public education and professionals to Rapid City. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person is Linda Lee Viken. Please come up, introduce yourself. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you. As you said, my name is Linda Lee Viken. For 8 years before I went to law school. And I'm here to ask you to support the resolution against the standards. I have read all 131 pages of it. And as a teacher, if I had it pulled it up here, you'd see a little tabs on a lot of the things in there. It's overwhelming. Little tabs on a lot of the things in there. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to me as a teacher, as an adult, to see what's suggested and requested and required in that document. And we have to be concerned about the consequences. And we have to be concerned about the consequences if those standards are imposed. I can guarantee you what'll happen. You'll lose your teachers. And you won't be able to hire anymore. Because no one in the teaching goes. I ask you, if you haven't sometime, and I have a set here in case you want to read them. I could read them to you, but I won't. Just reading through them and to know that this is what a child is supposed to learn in kindergarten, it's possible for a teacher to complete. For example, in 24, which is the last time the standards were changed, there were 28 standards. This proposal has 95 standards. 95 standards. In addition, there's 127 topics for the kindergarten, just on the kindergarten one. And that has to be taught to the students in the 170 days of school. So think about students in the 170 days of school. So think about that. What it would mean is no in-depth at all. And it's really filled with memorization. And there's really a tilt to not have the students have any critical thinking. But we want our staff to grow up and be adults and make decisions all in their lifetime. And this is really the opposite of what I think anyone as a good parent would want to do. There's also the dollar cost of this proposal. It's estimated that in Rapid City alone, the cost will be a whole new curriculum, and you have to get all the things that go with that. You also have to have classes for the teachers to take so that they can learn how to teach this in a way that makes sense. That's just one school district, by the way. And the standards allots $800,000 total, with $2.8 million just in one school district. I'm a member of the Public Policy Committee of Elevate. I do not know if you were supposed to receive the letter that Elevate wrote against the standards. But on the other hand, they do care about the city and what'll happen here in the city if we lose teachers, if our students are not capable of working. These are things that really have to be considered. The other thing with Elevate too also is that who comes here and who stays here. And that's if you have a ball in the game, that's probably your ball as it is Elevate's. Because with your support, that will send the message that we need to send. And of course, it's interesting that these are not standards, okay? These are curriculum. It's what is to be taught and how it's to be taught. That's curriculum. Well, it just so happens that SCCL 13-1, -12-1, -12-1, which addresses the promulgation of rules relating to curriculum requirements, states, nothing in this section authorizes the Board of Education to require the use of specifically designated curriculum or methods of instruction. Specifically designated curriculum or methods of instruction. And that's what it does. So I urge you and ask you to please join the bandwagon to protect our children and our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Garrett Pfeiffer. Welcome.
Thank you, council members, for your time. My opinion on the standards really doesn't matter, and I consider myself a pretty smart person, so saying that's tough. But the truth is, I've talked to now dozens of teachers, which is not a big number, but through them, indirectly dozens more. I'll catch my breath in a moment here. And sitting in Board of Education meetings, I've heard our board members suggest they've received tens and hundreds of emails from community members, some of whom are educators. And I think the opinion that matters is that collective opinion. And I think the opinion that matters is that collective opinion. And they seem to oppose these standards. And so whether I like them or don't, doesn't matter. My concern lies in the daughters I have that I send to Meadowbrook, and currently if they have a sick teacher, generally there isn't always a teacher to replace that person. And in fact, my kindergarten daughter gets sent to a first grade classroom where now 40 kids of mixed grade are to be taught that day. And I don't know where we're at. I can't guarantee anything if these are passed. I mean, who knows? But I do think we're probably approaching a critical shortage of teachers, if we're not already there, or approaching what Malcolm Gladwell would probably call a tipping point. And again, no matter what you feel about the standards, I think the proponents are saying we need to change and we need to be better for our students, and our students need to be better. If anyone disagrees with that, I don't. I think we can be demanding of our kids and yet supportive of them. I think what they think, though, is this is not the path to that outcome. And so, again, that's the opinion that I care about because that's who I'm sending my kids to. And I worry that we're going to not have enough of them if we basically tell them we're not listening. And so I am encouraged to see this for that reason. And I would appreciate that you all consider it maybe from that perspective, from the perspective of a parent or grandparent, or I guess maybe just from my perspective. I would appreciate that, and thank you for your time and energy.
Thank you. Next, Donna Robinson. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Having public comment. And I do want to thank you all for considering this as a city, because I think it definitely affects the city element of any city. And anybody that lives in the city, works in the city, wants to come to the city, looks at the school system. And we have to, so I really appreciate you bringing this as a city resolution to help the school system. I certainly agree with other people that have had very good comments about the particulars within the curriculum. I think they're absolutely accurate. But I also want to tell you, I'm focusing on where did the curriculum come from? The curriculum / standards came from a private Christian college. Now, I have some reservations about that because we are a government entity and we are going to pay government dollars into this, and we already have. And I think that there would be a great many other institutions, not Christian, secular colleges, secular organization like the National Association of Social Studies Teachers, somebody that could have facilitated this a lot better. I also think that college has a clear bias in their curriculum, in their point of view. Their current school president, Larry Arnn, was the co-chairman of the Trump-appointed committee called 1776. So they, as in he, already has a clear bias as to what emphasis on. Some of their class offerings are American left from liberalism to despotism, American citizenship and its decline, why public American education is failing. Now, if we're getting curriculum from an institution that is exhibiting quite a bias against public education, I wonder if that's the right source that we should be looking for. Thank you. Secondly, or thirdly, I guess, Larry Arnn, this president, recorded, it's out there for you to watch, was quoted talking to Governor Lee of Tennessee, saying himself, education degrees are easy because you don't have to know anything. Anyone can do it. Teachers were trained at the dumbest parts in the dumbest schools in the country. And he compared modern education to the plague. It destroys generations of people. And that was just last June of 2022. So again, I look at the source, and I'm glad. Look at the source, and I'm glad you're questioning the source. I'm glad you may come out in opposition for this. And Hillsdale College itself has no credentials in teaching education. They do not graduate teachers. They do not certify teachers. So they, themselves in such an evident way in trying to direct our public education. So those are the points that I thought were most powerful, and question about where did these, and is that the kind of institution that we want to support and that we want to be involved with our local education. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last public speaker is Kyle Kraus.
Thank you much for having me. So, I think as a board you'd agree, economic development's kind of a big deal. Spent over $100 million on a arena at the Civic Center. There's something like 20 tax increment financing districts in town. Street Square. A lot of you last night were at a community growth forum. It's a big part of the city council's job. What I can tell you is if we don't have good schools, none of that's going to matter, because educated professionals are not going to want to move to our community. That's already an issue that occurs especially with our healthcare field. I'd suggest to you this resolution's easy compared to everything I just laid out. All you have to do, listen to your constituents in the community, and as leaders of listen to your constituents in the community, and as leaders of the community, lend your voice. Who do you need to listen to? First thing I'd suggest are local educators. About 300 of them put their name on a full-page ad in the Rapid City Journal last month saying they oppose the. Second, Rapid City School Board unanimously voted to pass a resolution opposing these standards. Third, Elevate, our business community, recognizes that these could be really detrimental to our community. Last, I'd suggest listen to parents like myself. I've got 2 kids, ages 4 and 7 next year. I've read the early elementary standards. They're nuts. I've talked to my kids' teachers. They tell me there's no way they can practically teach these standards without cutting back on other things they're trying to teach my kids. Most of what they're working on, reading, writing, parent want my kids' teachers to cut back on so that they can teach them about literally ancient Roman history. So, you know, what I'd suggest, I've got an article here from KEVN, headline, Teacher Shortage Worsens in South. That was published in January this year. I think the headline hits the nail on the head. Just last year, our district was not able to fill every teacher position they had. They had to shuffle people around to get a certified teacher in front of every classroom. If this passes, it's basically a giant slap in the face to all our educators, and we are going to have a hard time putting a certified educator in front of all the kids in Rapid City schools. So I'd encourage you to add your voice to the chorus as our community's leaders and oppose these standards.
Thank you.
And oppose these standards.
Thank you. All right, not seeing any more speaker request forms. We're going to close that public comment, and we're going to move on to our Finance Department. Item 13, we'll go back to Interim Director Tracy Davis. Director Tracy Davis.
This is second reading of the first supplemental appropriation for 2023. There are no changes from first reading.
Great. All right, so we'll enter that second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6563 regarding supplemental appropriation number 1 for 23 regarding supplemental appropriation number 1 for 2023.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, motion to approve by Mr. Nordstrom, second by Mr. Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Community Development, the second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6, ordinance amendment to amend sections 17.12.050, 17.12.070, and 17.40.050 of the Rapid City Municipal Code relating to the height of certain structures.
Just to acknowledge that this is second reading, nothing has changed. This is an important amendment in that we have had 11 apartment developments in the recent past that have had to seek exceptions due to this height constraint of where it stands today. And this is going to fast forward many of those building permits by revising the ordinance. So thank you for your support.
Wonderful. Okay, I believe we have a motion to approve by Mr. Solomon and second by Mr. Nordstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving to item number 15, approve resolution number 2015, approve resolution number 2023-021, a resolution expressing opposition to the adoption of the proposed social studies content standards under consideration by the South Dakota Board of Education Standards, and I will go to Councilman Jones.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I would like to first move approval, and if I can get a second, continue with discussion.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you. So first of all, I wanted to thank the community member who contacted me with these. I was all about it, and you'll hear why in a couple minutes. I have a lot to say. And I sent it to our city attorney, Mr. Landine, for review, and then he formatted it for us in the form that is in front of us right now. So it was, I can't take credit for writing it. I did tell the community member that got it to me I would carry the ball and move it forward, and I'm very fortunate and glad that he reached out to me. So let's talk about curriculum and education for just a minute. Rarely do we have anyone who's an expert in the field to talk to us about things. Sometimes to talk to us about things. Sometimes we have experts in our own, but we don't get a lot of experts in the field. I consider myself an expert in the field. I was a school teacher for 16 years. I was a principal and a superintendent for 17 years. I have a bachelor's degree in education. Master's degree in administration, and a doctorate in education and administration. So I speak with a great depth of knowledge on this topic. The way the curriculum process should work and has worked in our South Dakota schools is like this. Cycle, required content area standards as well as electives are put up for curriculum review. Committees are formed made up of teachers, parents, school board members. They look at a variety of curriculums to teach K-12. And you've got to remember part of it is what really matters, because it's taking a concept, social studies. What do we want kindergartners to know about social studies? What are social studies? It's the study of the social impact, aspect, behavior, thoughts, concepts, actions of people. What do we want kindergartners, concepts, actions of people? What do we want kindergartners to know and understand? What do we want seniors in high school to know and understand? Along that path, that horizontal path, vertical integration takes place, putting in certain and specific topics that kids at those grade levels can comprehend and understand and apply and take to the next level. Just like with math. You don't do multiplication before you can add 2 plus 2. So it starts out with the basics. Then it grows and it grows. One of the beautiful things about social studies content standards, all decision making. When do we want civics taught? Right now there's a certain units at the middle school level taught on civics. When do we want U.S. history taught? Juniors right now have to take a year of U.S. history in order to graduate. When do we want local history taught? The way those decisions are made locally. Carol Merwin's sitting out there, a teacher who I know and have great respect for, so if I mess up, she'll call me on it. I know it. And I would want you to, Carol. It's very nice to see you. So it allows the local insertion of a nationwide concept to be taught. Of a nationwide concept to be taught. School books are reviewed. Textbooks, rather, are reviewed. Workbook materials reviewed. Everybody who wants to be part of the process can. It's not hidden away in meetings that people can't attend, which I think took place in this process. People can't attend, which I think took place in this process, which I find very frustrating. And what has not been allowed is dictating from the state, Department of Education and/or the governor's office as to this is what you're going to teach at this grade and this is how you're going to do it, no ifs, ands, or buts. It's wrong at every level. And the people who already spoke, you said it much better than I could. So thank you all for speaking. You nailed it. You're exactly right. But as an educator, as a professional, lifelong educator, it's so frustrating to me. So the K-12 curriculum development process along the way, which should be locally controlled, locally decided, is taken away. The fact that memorization and rote thinking is predominantly part of this. That's not how we learn. That's how people learned 50 years ago, maybe. But the critical thinking. Thank you, Linda, for saying that. But the critical thinking. Thank you, Linda, for saying that. Critical thinking, problem solving, taking a concept and applying it to what we do and how it impacts us. People need more of that nowadays, not less. So the fact that that is removed, and there's a lot of this in these standards. That is removed. And there's a lot of this in these standards. You're going to learn this. You're going to learn this because we say it's right. That's not right. That's just not right. So, oh man. When Donna spoke about the president of that college and the thing, people, when COVID, when all the parents had to take over and teach, and everyone thought, oh, it'd be so easy, we can just do it online. Well, guess what? People saw how difficult it was to actually be a teacher and to be an effective teacher and educator. It just doesn't work that way. I'm proud of people who are in the profession. I'm proud of my time, and I'm city who teach and work in schools. But even if you don't care about the educational part of this, even if that doesn't matter to you, the economic impact and development, the way this hits, is huge for our city. And that's been talked about, so I won't drag that out anymore. But I have to make sure I toss in my notes. We need to support, but I have to make sure I toss in my notes. We need to support our schools, our teachers, our parents, and our kids, and do what's best for them, and not for a very biased, proposed curriculum. This thing's 10 miles wide and 1 inch deep. Memorization, critical thinking, we got it. You guys, 1 inch deep. Memorization, critical thinking, we got it. You guys hit all my notes, so that's great. I'm glad you did. So to the community member who contacted me, we had a fantastic discussion about this. I'm so happy you asked me to carry this forward. I'm thrilled that it's here at this level right now. I've had two of the council members, not seated at this table, but others, kind of attack me a little bit, saying, well, if you want to get on a soapbox about education, go do it somewhere else. Doesn't have anything to do with the city. Boy, do I disagree. This has everything to do with what we do as far as bettering and impacting the quality of life as a council all the time. Well, aren't our schools part of our quality of life? Absolutely. So, and we have the Rapid City Youth City Council, who has taken a position and written a paper. I gave it a solid B+ on this topic. They are against it. And they are against it. And these young people on the Rapid City Council are brilliant young people. My goodness, I wish I was them. I want to be them when I grow up. So they are very much against it. There's been editorials in the paper recently against this. So we are wise, caring people in against this. So we are wise, caring people in Rapid City. And we see things for how they are. We move away the hoo-ha, and we see things as they are. Your taxing entities, the school district and us, sometimes we see things the same, sometimes we don't, on different paths. But right now, on this thing, we should be of one mind and recognize the negative impact this would have on our kids, on our community, and on the future of Rapid City. And since the school board could vote unanimously against them, support this as well. So I encourage my colleagues on the city council to support this resolution. You know, there's no teeth to it. There's no law attached to it. But it's a very powerful statement saying that, hey, it matters to us. Our kids, our parents, our teachers, our schools matter to us. And we want to support those who are making the policy decision. Those who are making the policy decision. I'm hopeful that this will pass, and I encourage my members, fellow members on the council, to vote in favor of it. And if anyone out there has questions or comments about it, but by all means, let us know. But this has come forth at this time for a reason, and it's very. This has come forth at this time for a reason, and it's very important that we take action on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nordstrom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Most of my comments I'm going to resonate, but I just want to get across a couple of things. Is that I support the motion as a recommendation for a due pass, and then that leads me to a question, and I've got to find an answer out. Is if this is implemented or forced upon us, does that mean they're held back? The other question that I've got is, Ms. Robinson, you made mention that a church is involved in this, or a Christian institution is involved in this. I've got to ask the question, and I don't know who will be able to answer this question now, is that to me it looks like we need a better line drawn between separation of church and state. Okay? Then the other part that you folks, every one of you mentioned, is economic development. Wholeheartedly, we are seeing is that I'm with a group called Early Learning Rapid City. Now it's going Early Learning South Dakota. And we're seeing the effects of the kids that are not getting pre-K education up here at the city level. We're spending roughly $15 million, mostly on people that have very severe limitations on their education. And that isn't true with everyone that we're providing services for, but a lot of social services are because of the lack of education or proper education. $15 million depending on from the taxpayers, from the city. So it does, for me, a major impact for the community. And I want to say I just only read up to first grade, and I'm going like, Anyway, it is plumb nuts. And then one of my colleagues is that Mr. Jones referenced a letter came from the Youth City Council. I'm the liaison for that group, and Mr. Jones hit it right on the head, is that they are a group of very intelligent young people, mostly seniors, but there's a few juniors, and they're very talented in a wide range of topics. It took them several months to put this document together, so I need to ask my colleagues if it's all right to attach this to the agenda item for Monday night, if that's okay with the rest of the council members. And
As a review item.
and use this as additional support for this resolution. So, and I would encourage, lastly, I will encourage the folks that are in the audience, and if you can, bring a friend Monday night to make sure that we've got this resolution support from the community as well. And it'll be very important that you folks attend that meeting and give us shall I say, full community support on this. We need, in my opinion, we need to get this passed. Thank you, Madam Chair. I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Nordstrom. Mr. Roseland? Oops, sorry. There we go.
I appreciate all those who came today to talk. Some of you I know, some of you I don't, but I do know that all of you care what happens to our children in Rapid City. And I appreciate our Councilman Pat Jones for bringing this up through his contacts on the outside. And to be honest, I didn't put a whole lot of thought one way or the other in the past until Mr. Jones brought this up a couple weeks ago. Since then, I have had input from who say citizens from the outside, those who oppose, and those who are for the new proposals. I've got one person sent today. I got both the present proposal, or what we have on books, and now the ones that are proposed. And I'm getting it bound because there's a whole lot of reading on that, and I didn't have time, to be honest, to read all this stuff. But I hear the caring from Mr. Jones and all those out here who are coming to oppose this new proposals. I did go to the February 10th meeting at the Rushmore Hotel. I did not get to sit through all of it, but I've seen many of you speak, and I appreciate your basically courage in coming out and speaking against this new proposal.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Solomon, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, while I'm a strong supporter of education, I don't believe the City Council is the appropriate body to deliberate education standards. Listen, my daughter's an education major, believe in it, but I don't believe if you're having a hard time getting through the 131 pages, that tells me we don't have the capacity to do a deep dive to determine whether this is appropriate or not. So my stance is not really for or against anything. The fact is, I don't think the City Council's the appropriate body. If we do it for this, we're going to have to do it for a lot of other things, and I don't like the precedent that it sets. When we have a school board that we elect, we have state legislators. I think it's best left up to the school board, the state, the elect. We have state legislators. I think it's best left up to the school board, the state, the educators, and the parents to work together on something that works for everybody, and that's what I would encourage. But again, I don't think I can support this today, mainly because I don't believe we're the appropriate body. I know that's not popular. I strongly believe in education, so please don't get me wrong. One of my former teachers is in this room right now. I get it. But the fact is there's a lot of issues that the state faces that we care greatly about. SB 146 this week they deliberated, which had to do with parolees. That greatly. So I'd rather our focus be on city operations, and we can use our leadership and influence to discuss these matters with the appropriate bodies. So I will not be supporting the resolution at this time. That does not mean I don't support the cause, just don't believe it's appropriate for this body. Thank you.
And if my colleagues will indulge.
Believe it's appropriate for this body. Thank you.
And if my colleagues will indulge me, I have a few comments on this. It's easy not to take a stand, but we were elected to be leaders. And when you're leaders, you got to make difficult decisions. And we don't difficult decisions. And we don't need to take precedent. We don't have to agree with everything that the school board agrees with. But when the opportunity arises, we need to stand up and we need to speak up. Our job is to listen to our, to do what's right for this community. I believe about $7 million was given to Elevate to recruit businesses here. We fly them in. The city sells itself. Greenways, the creek, downtown. They go home and then they Google our schools and go, oh, thanks, but no thanks. That's a problem. That's $7 million of our taxpayer money. Again, we don't have to agree with everything that the school board does, but when this school board is unanimous, we have to do our due diligence and support them. It's not just the school board. That was unanimous. It was our youth city council. It's Elevate City Council. It's Elevate. It's our business leaders, hundreds of teachers, thousands of parents. And basically, it's just pure common sense. So I'm going to support this resolution because it's the right thing to do for our community. We have a motion on the floor.
I'm buzzed in.
Oh, okay. Mr. Jones?
Thank you. Councilman Nordstrom's question about would a student be held back if they don't pass one of these? At the high school level, I can comment on that because whatever class, whatever one of these weird standards would be imposed as a required class at the senior level or at the high school level, like U.S. history is a required class for graduation. U.S. government is a required class for graduation. Some of these would obviously fall into that. And if a student didn't pass those, it would impact their ability to graduate. So they would have to either pass that class, redo it summer school or online or something like that. But the answer to your question is yes, it would impede their ability to graduate if they didn't pass it. Just like any other required class of the amount of credits, 20, 22 credits, whatever the amount is, a student has to pass all those in order to graduate. And if they don't pass them, they have to redo the class to satisfy that credit. So the answer to your question, then, if I was held back K through 8, I really can't count. And earning a diploma, the answer is yes. Thank you, Chair.
All right. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes with 1 no from Mr. Solomon. Okay. All right, do we care to go through our items? Will we move forward to Monday's council meeting, which I believe will be in Chambers on March 6th? Thank you all for everybody attending.